Welcome to Non-Mendelian Inheritance, where genetics goes beyond simple dominant-recessive rules. Today we'll explore the complex patterns that shape how traits are passed down. Let's dive in. First, we have incomplete dominance, a pattern of inheritance characterized by the formation of a trait that is in between the phenotypes of the parents. Imagine this: you cross a pure red flower with a pure white flower, and the result? A pink flower. This is because the dominant and recessive traits blend. There is an absence of the expression of complete dominance. This pattern is very common in the expression of flower color in most plants. A great example of this is seen in the 4 o'clock plant, where instead of one trait overpowering the other, the resulting third phenotype is something right in the middle. Next, let's look at codominance, which occurs when two different alleles are expressed equally in the phenotype of the heterozygote. For instance, if we cross a white cattle with a red cattle, we don't get pink, we get a red and white spotted cattle. This happens when one allele is not dominant over the other. The resulting heterozygotes exhibit the traits of both parents. A perfect example of this can be seen in some breeds of cattle. Now let's dive into multiple alleles, which refers to a situation where more than two alleles of a single gene exist within a population. While an individual organism still inherits only two alleles, one from each parent, multiple alleles in the population allow for a greater variety of genetic traits. A classic example of this is the ABO blood type system in humans. Your blood type, AB, or O, is determined by antigens on your red blood cells. Antigens act like labels or ID cards on cells, helping your immune system recognize which cells belong to your body, self, and which are invaders, foreign. Group A, you've got A antigens. Group B, you have B antigens. Group AB, lucky you, you have both A and B antigens. Group O, you've got no antigens at all. Now let's talk about antibodies. Your immune system makes antibodies, which act like security guards. They recognize foreign antigens and attack them to protect the body. Type A has anti-B antibodies. Type B has anti-A antibodies. Type AB, no antibodies. You're the universal recipient. Type O has both anti-A and anti-B antibodies, so it can only receive from O, but can donate to anyone. That's why O is the universal donor. Conclusion: the ABO blood group system is controlled by a single gene with three different alleles: allele A, allele B, and allele O, also called I, the recessive form. These multiple alleles combine in different ways to produce all four blood types. In addition, there are other traits influenced by multiple alleles. For instance, hair color is controlled by several alleles, leading to a variety of shades, from blonde to brown to black, and even red. The texture of hair, whether it's straight, wavy, or curly, can also be influenced by multiple alleles interacting. Similarly, eye color and eye shape are determined by several alleles, contributing to the wide range of eye colors we see, like blue, green, and brown, as well as differences in shape. Even skin complexion, ranging from lighter to darker shades, is a result of multiple alleles working together. These traits show us how the interaction of different alleles can lead to a diversity of characteristics in individuals. Next, we explore sex-linked genes. These are genes found either on the X or Y chromosomes, and they're responsible for inherited differences among males and females. In humans, females have two X chromosomes, double X, while males have one X and one Y chromosome, XY. There are two types of sex-linked genes: Y-linked genes, genes located on the Y chromosome, and X-linked genes, genes located on the X chromosome. A common example is color blindness in humans. Color blindness is a condition where individuals have difficulty distinguishing certain colors, typically red and green. It is an X-linked trait. Color blindness is more common in males than in females. Let's begin with females, since color blindness is recessive and normal vision is dominant. Even though a female has color blindness on one of her chromosomes, it would be canceled out by the normal vision gene, which is dominant. Thus, the female will have normal vision, but would be a carrier of color blindness, and there would be a possibility that her children will inherit color blindness. On the other hand, a male has XY chromosomes. Since he has only one X chromosome, he will have color blindness because there's no second X chromosome to cancel it. Thus, a male with color blindness on his X chromosome would automatically be colorblind. To sum up, an XX female has normal vision. An XX female with one colorblind gene will have normal vision but be a carrier of the gene, and an XX female with both colorblind genes will be colorblind. An XY male will have normal vision if his X chromosome does not carry the colorblind gene, but an XY male with a colorblind gene on his X chromosome will be colorblind. That's the reason why more males are colorblind than females. Another sex-linked gene is hypertrichosis pinnae oris. This refers to excessive hair growth on the outer ear, and it's an example of a Y-linked trait. What does that mean? It means the gene responsible for this condition is found only on the Y chromosome. Since only males have a Y chromosome with XY sex chromosomes, only males can inherit and show this trait. Females, on the other hand, have two X chromosomes, double X, and no Y chromosome. Because of that, they cannot inherit this gene, they cannot be affected, and they cannot be carriers. Now let's look at inheritance. If a male with hypertrichosis has children with a female, here's what happens. All of his sons will inherit his Y chromosome and will also have hypertrichosis. All of his daughters will inherit his X chromosome, not the Y, so they will not have the condition and will not be carriers. To sum it up, hypertrichosis pinnae oris is passed from father to son. Only males can be affected. Females are not affected and are not carriers. That's how Y-linked inheritance works, and why this trait only shows up in males. Next up, sex-limited traits, which are traits expressed in only one sex, even though both sexes may carry the genes for them. Sex-limited traits happen mainly due to biological and hormonal differences between males and females. These traits are generally autosomal, which means they are not found on the X or Y chromosomes. A great example is lactation in cattle. Lactation is dominant, while non-lactation is recessive. Let's see this in a table. XY and XX represent the chromosomes of males and females, while the big letter L represents the gene for lactation, dominant, and the small letter L represents non-lactation, recessive. In females, both dominant L equals lactating. One dominant L and one recessive L equals still lactating. Both recessive L equals not lactating. On the other hand, in males, both dominant L equals not lactating. One dominant L and one recessive L, adding not lactating. Both recessive L, adding not lactating. All males, regardless of their genotype, exhibit the phenotype of not lactating. This means that even if males carry the genes for lactation, they do not express this trait due to the lack of the necessary hormonal environment. Lactation is only limited to females. Other examples include Adam's apple, a sex-limited trait in males. Menstruation, a sex-limited trait in females. Finally, let's talk about sex-influenced traits, which are autosomal traits expressed in both sexes, but more frequently in one than the other. These traits are highly influenced by hormones. Hormones in males and females are chemical messengers that control growth, development, and reproduction. In males, the main sex hormone is testosterone. It is produced in the testes and is responsible for traits like facial hair, deep voice, and sperm production. In females, the main sex hormones are estrogen and progesterone. These are produced in the ovaries and control the menstrual cycle, breast development, and pregnancy. Both males and females also produce small amounts of each other's hormones, but in different levels. The example of sex-influenced traits, or the traits that are influenced by the hormones, is baldness. In males, both dominant B equals bald. One dominant B and one recessive B equals still bald. Both recessive B equals not bald. On the other hand, in females, both dominant B equals bald. One dominant B and one recessive B equals not bald. Both recessive B equals not bald. Males are more likely to express baldness because the B allele is dominant and only one copy is needed to express the trait. Females need 2 copies of the B allele BB to be bald, which makes baldness much less common in females. Other examples include aggression, a sex-influenced trait in males, and breast cancer susceptibility, more common in females but present in both sexes. Let's sum up. Non-Mendelian inheritance refers to genetic patterns that go beyond Mendel's basic dominant-recessive rules. These inheritance patterns are influenced by various factors. Incomplete dominance. Traits blend together, resulting in an intermediate phenotype, like crossing a red and white flower to get a pink one. Example: 4 o'clock plants. Codominance. Both alleles are equally expressed in the heterozygote, such as when red and white cows produce a spotted offspring, with both red and white colors visible. Multiple alleles. Some traits are influenced by more than 2 alleles within a population. A prime example is the ABO blood type system in humans, where alleles A, B, and O combine in different ways to produce the 4 blood types, AB, AB, and O. Sex-linked genes. These are genes located on the X or Y chromosomes. For example, color blindness is X-linked, making it more common in males due to their single X chromosome. Another example is hypertrichosis pinnae oris, a Y-linked trait causing excessive hair growth on the outer ear, seen only in males. Sex-limited traits. Traits that are expressed in only one sex, despite both sexes carrying the genes. These traits are often regulated by hormonal differences. An example is lactation in cattle, which is dominant in females but never expressed in males due to hormonal differences. Sex-influenced traits. These traits are expressed in both sexes but are more common in one sex due to hormonal influence. Baldness is a key example, where it is dominant in males but recessive in females, making baldness more common in men. And that's a wrap on non-Mendelian inheritance. From the unique patterns of sex-linked traits to the intriguing influence of hormones on sex-limited and sex-influenced traits, we've seen how genetics is much more complex than simple inheritance. The world of genetics is filled with endless discoveries, and there's always more to explore. Thanks for tuning in.